So I got out of the service and I had those jobs. That's true. And I applied for college, applied to several colleges. And I was accepted at 3, including one in New York, up in New York. I forget which one that was. Syracuse.
Oh,
Syracuse.
yes.
Got it right there.
Yeah.
Syracuse and Humboldt State College, one of the state colleges of California. It's up in the Redwoods, up in Arcata.
Yeah, right.
So
That's Northern California.
Right. So I said, boy, that's great. I want to go there.
Yeah.
So my Uncle Charlie, who was back in the service, had gone to school.
Wait a minute, is this the recruiter?
No, that was Joe.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. My Uncle Charlie was the one in the Philippines as a medic. So he had gone to school and he's got his degree. He's got a teaching job in Astoria, Oregon. So we drive out together. It's his car. And we stop beside the road every night in sleeping bags. And we sleep outside in the sleeping bags. And every once in a while we stop at a hotel and get a shower. So he drops me and we get to Arcata, drive up to the college. I'm in my GI clothes. I got my duffel bag. He drops me off at school. Never been there before. And he takes off for Astoria. And I have a little money, and it's going to take a while before the GI Bill to kick in. So anyhow, I register for all my classes, and I start, and I'm living in the dormitory. And I'm running out of money, so I'm continually going up to the dean of students and borrowing money. And finally, the GI Bill kicks in, and I'm paying him back. In the meanwhile, I got a job with a veterinarian, and I work on weekends with a veterinarian. The winter of '55, I decide I'm going to hitchhike to Astoria at Christmas vacation and visit my uncle. And so I picked that time where they had the most vicious storms in California, washing out bridges and everything else. Anyhow, I'm hitchhiking in the rain at night and trying to get rides, and eventually getting rides. If I can remember one time I was way off in the distance, I saw a light, and I think, what is that? So I hike up there, and finally the outlines of a semi, he's parked. And so I come up and startle the driver, and I ask, do you mind if I get a ride? And so he gives me a ride for a long way. I get off and hitchhike some more. Guy picks me up in a car, and the wind is blowing. We go around a bend, and the wind blows the hood off, and just completely off. There's no way he's going to get that down in the Raven. It shorts out the engine. So when it stops raining, we get our t-shirts off and wipe off around the plugs and everything. And we start the engine, and he takes me back into Coos Bay. I eventually get up to Astoria
And see Uncle Charlie.
and see Uncle Charlie.
Okay.
I hitchhike back, and I get back. I forget which river, maybe in the Eel River, and I'm in this car. I was stopped, and there are police and guardsmen at the edge of the bridge, and we're several cars behind, and they had just finished repairing the bridge so people could go over. And one guy walked back and he says, it's a good thing you're in the car because they're eyeing you, they're thinking about arresting you. But anyhow, we got through and I got back down to Arcata.
Wait a minute, arresting you for what?
Because I didn't look right. I had to be, because when I took,
the guy in high school looked at you and said, that's a troublemaker? What?
no, because when I took, I was ratty clothes and I decided to grow a beard.
Oh,
Okay.
but that's too early for hippies. That was 10 years later.
Yeah. But anyhow.
Really?
Anyhow, and that's what the guy said. Anyhow, I got back to Arcata.
And it was just one of the most, and probably still is, one of the most spectacular outdoor places.
It is.
And probably in the world.
It is.
So how did you feel about it? That's probably one of the reasons why you picked it, right?
Well, they had a wildlife program. That's why I went there.
Okay. Oh, great place to have
Right.
a wildlife program.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
oh boy.
So I majored in wildlife.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, you're exactly right. And the water was filled with all kinds of fish, crabs, salmon,
Same.
whales, seals, sea otters. I mean,
You're right on the coast.
right on the coast, right on Humboldt Bay. Anyhow, it was a wonderful experience there, and I did very, very well in college, very well. And beginning in the summer of '56, each year I went to Alaska in the summertime, '56, '57, and '58.
Where? Where'd you go in Alaska?
Well, it was on the Alaska Peninsula. So I'd get up, I'd get to Seattle, and then they'd fly us to Kodiak Island. And the first time, well, they flew us to Kodiak Island in the Grumman Goose. I don't know if you know what a Grumman Goose is, but it's a twin-engine huge seaplane that has wheels on the side so that they can actually land on land. And when they land on water, they can put the wheels down and they can come up a ramp.
Howard Hughes?
No, Howard Hughes was a Spruce Goose.
I know that, but it sounds very similar in some ways.
Well, the Spruce Goose is that's another story. I've been in the Spruce Goose. That's huge.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We'll come back to that in 1 second of how that happened. I'm sorry, finish this. So you want to?
I was in the Spruce Goose before it was moved up to Seattle as a tourist attraction. This goes back to my work in San Francisco. I was with the Parks and Recreation director from Los Angeles, and we both decided we'd go visit the Spruce Goose. And it was a tourist, nobody could go there. And so we were given private permission to go in there. And we went in and I sat in the same seat that Hughes sat in and toured the plane and really had a great time. It was an 8-engine plane. And it wasn't spruce, it was birch. And they got birch from Minnesota and Wisconsin. And they actually invented weldwood glue as a matter of building the airplane. They invented weldwood glue. Anyhow, that was a great experience.
Sorry.
And I'll get back to the Grumman Goose.
Yeah.
We landed on Kodiak Island, and then I went by Fish and Wildlife vessel to Canoe Bay, which was way, way out on the peninsula on the Pacific side. And here's a picture of Canoe where I was in Canoe Bay.
No, wait, you hold that up. Nice. Hold on a second here. Look at this. Hold it up so I can see it. And I'm going to come right into it. Hold it. Okay, I'm right into it.
This is
show me where you were.
This is the Alaska Peninsula. You're going down this way to Kodiak Island, and Canoe Bay is here. And they dropped me off at this little spit here, and we built an 8x10 cabin right then and there. And they finished without hanging the door and left. If I had known what was going to happen that night, that door would have been hung, because I had bears come around that cabin.
What kind of bears did they come?
The Alaska brown bear.
Tell us about
Those are large.
Tell us about the Alaska
Those are large
brown bear.
bears. This is at night, and the door is leaning up against the opening, and I took my .30-06 and I shot through the corner of the cabin, and it was like a train going. Those bears took off. It was like thunder of a train going by. They didn't come back. The next day, that door got hung. I had 2 windows in the cabin, and slept on the floor. I only had a sleeping bag, something that was cold, very cold. I had a jacket, and I found an old army blanket that drifted up along the shore. It burned partly, and I cleaned it off in the spring, dried it out, and that did the job. I was warm enough with that army blanket.
Again, for you.
I was at Canoe Bay to prevent the fishermen from coming up into the bay, and they could fish outside, but they couldn't come up the bay. So I patrolled the outside, and I would take hikes, all-day hikes. I'd fill my pockets with Hershey bars, and I would hike up through the tundra, up to the mountains, and back.
The Hershey bars were for you, not the bears, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, always at the bottom, when you started to go up, there would be alderbrush thickets, and that's where the bears would be. And you make a lot of noise, and they'd just take off. Yes, I always carried a .30-06 with me whenever I hiked. It was just, you just had to have some kind of
Yeah.
protection.
And they didn't have
They didn't have
pistols.
they didn't have pepper spray and stuff like that at that time.
Right, and there was no powerful enough pistol at that time to
No,
deal with a
no,
grizzly.
no.
There are now, but yeah.
Right, well, but I was by myself in this little cabin.
Right.
I did not see another person for a month. The first person I saw was a purse seiner. A fisherman came into the bay, and they got in their little boat and came in and we talked. And then shortly after that, I forget which kind of a plane it was, flew over and dropped a 2x4 with a couple of letters to me. And then shortly after that, they came in with a Fish and Wildlife vessel and resupplied me. But I spent the whole summer there.
But now that was as part of school?
Well, no,
Or the summer?
this was a summer of employment,
Oh, okay.
and it was very good pay, and you couldn't spend it.
And who was the employer?
It was the old Bureau of Commercial Fisheries,
Okay,
and they were managing the salmon fishery.
okay.
And the way they did that was they counted salmon going up the streams. They called that escapement. And depending upon the number of salmon going up, they regulated the number of fishermen and the days and the time they could fish.
Right.
It was, I'm sure, a very hit and miss proposition.
Be quiet, doggy.
But my first job was a guard, a stream guard, what they call a stream guard.
Which is what?
Well, to prevent some salmon fishermen from going up the streams.
Oh,
Yeah, Canoe Bay was a
it was really a fishing
Canoe Bay was a real favorite stream where we had all 5 species of salmon.
Right.
We had the king salmon, the dog salmon, the pink salmon, the red salmon, and there was another one. I
The
forget.
steelhead count?
No, steelhead. We didn't have steelhead. We had the Arctic char, which is like a trout.
Yes, I know the Arctic
Yeah.
char. Yeah, yeah. Now, was this the first summer job you had?
My
out of
first summer,
school?
my first summer job
Out of school, out of college.
out of college,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Come back to college, and the second year I went to Alaska. I was I did a variety of things. I helped build weirs. Do you know what a weir is?
I sure do.
And then we had these counters,
Yeah.
and we counted fish coming through by species.
Explain to everybody
Well,
what a weir is.
Well, it prevented fish from going up,
Nice.
except in the various places where we had white flash boards so that you could see the fish going across and identify the species. And we had these boards with these counters, and we counted the fish going up
Right.
by species.
During the day, how many hours did you do this?
Well,
Counting.
we would do it for, I don't know, for
Did you do it all
several,
day?
oh yeah, all day, and we'd have several people doing it.
Did this get monotonous?
No, because every once in a while you get a king salmon, and they actually rattle a weir.
They're like what, 60, 70 pounds or something?
Yeah, some of them. Some of
They're
them.
getting
Yeah,
really huge.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that was your next summer job.
That was the next summer job, and then we also patrolled. I also patrolled in the Gorman Goose. For illegal fishermen.
Oh boy.
And that was fun because you'd swoop over a cliff and go down just like that and be over the water, maybe 5 feet over the water.
And you were dealing probably with a lot of updrafts, downdrafts because of the changing
Yeah.
weather and all
As a matter of fact, at the end of one season, we tried to get back to Anchorage by flying over the mountains, and we finally, because of the buffeting, we finally had to turn back and go a different way. We just couldn't do it.
Right. But you enjoyed the airplane.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I flew all kinds of airplanes during my career. You couldn't get me on one now, but
Big baby.
yeah, big baby, right? I leave my fingernails in the aluminum.
Do you mind if we take a break at this point?
Would you like a cup of coffee?
You're flying over the mountains to try to get
Back to Anchorage.
Right,
Right.
And we were talking about that. Can you, and that was your second
Year, right.
Okay. Take me after that. What
Okay.
happened after that?
My third year in Alaska, I was stationed at a cannery way out on the peninsula, Port Moller. And I actually had a bunk with the fishermen. I ate at their mess. and sort of kept an eye on them. Now, there were small purse seiners. They had a whole fleet of small purse seiners and some very large purse seiners. And they could only start fishing at a certain time.
Because?
Well, the commission set the rules for when they could fish, when they couldn't fish, the days, and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So I enforced it. And I also did a little biological thing. I took scale samples from the fish and put them in envelopes and sent them back to the labs.
Huh.
And they aged the fish, and I guess they checked on diseases and things through the scales.
Right.
But
I was just going to say, not everybody may not know what a purse
seiner
is.
Okay, there's a boat, and they carry a small skiff, and they let out this net, and they spot salmon, and what they try to do is they try to put that boat around the salmon and connect the net, and then it cinches below, and then they lift that up with a derrick.
Okay.
So that's what they call a purse seiner. So anyhow, one day I knew that they were fishing illegally. I knew that they were going out illegally. So I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, got in my boat, and went out to the fishing grounds just as the sun came up, and they all had the nets out illegally. So I started, I'm in this little 14-foot outboard motor boat, and I started to, you wouldn't use the word arrest. I told them to pull in the nets and go back into the cannery, and all of those fish became government property.
Huh.
They all went in. I got on board the big purse seiner, because it had a radio, and they tried to bribe me. They actually pulled out bills and tried to bribe me. I got a little scared then, because it wouldn't take much just to push me overboard. But they didn't.
And the water's cold.
And the water's cold. They didn't. And so I radioed in and told them the situation, and they all went in. And then a few months later, a traveling, I don't know what they called the person, it was a commissioner, he was like a traveling judge. And he came through, and I testified against them. And remember, I'm living with these fishermen, bucking there, eating with them.
Right.
And no one said a thing to me. Nobody gave me any problem at all. And they all got fined. I mean, some real hefty fines. Like the big purse seiner was like $3,000 or $4,000, and each little purse seiner was like $1,500 or more.
And they didn't bother you?
They didn't bother me, and I didn't hear one word against me.
They were that afraid of
I know.
regulatory?
I know. I think it was just part of the business.
Oh.
But I would never do anything like that again. That was really foolish of me. I mean, that little 14-foot boat.
How old were you?
I was in college. I started college when I was about 25, 27. No, I wasn't that old. I was 26 years old.
Okay, and you were off telling these party fishermen what to do.
So anyhow, the rest of the year went on eventfully, and I went back to school. And that was the last year I worked in Alaska.
Okay, now let me stop here before we go on. Let's do the funniest and the scariest stuff. You just compressed the year into like 5 minutes. So let me ask, what was the best thing about the job?
Well, being in that environment, the beauty, the smell, the fresh air, seeing the wildlife, seeing ravens, just hovering, and puffins with their fancy bills, and the seals and the sea lions, whales. It was just paradise, actually.
This is part of the theme of your enjoying the great outdoors.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. What was the worst?
Well, the first year they took me from Kodiak Island to Canoe Point in a Fish and Wildlife vessel. And I was sitting in the cabin. There were two of us sitting in this seat, and then the captain's son was across the way, and he was fooling with an automatic pistol. And it went off, and the bullet went right between us into the banquet. It happened so fast that we weren't scared until afterwards. The poor kid, he got beaten to death, almost to death by the captain. It's awful. That was the scariest thing.
Right. Funniest?
Well, funny in one way and kind of interesting in another. I was out hiking one time in the tundra along the shoreline, and there was a cliff, and just below the cliff line, the two bald eagles had a nest. And along came this bear along underneath the cliff, and those eagles did not like that at all. And they started after him like mad, swooping down at him. Finally, he couldn't swat them. He stood up and tried to swat them. Finally, he ran off. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay. What was the most stupid thing that you think happened, aside from your taking on all the fishermen?
Oh, I really can't think of. I guess the stupidest thing was getting on the boat with the rope and trying to steer the boat around with my weight without a life jacket. I think I remember talking about that. Well, this boat had an outboard motor, wooden boat, about 14 feet long.
Right.
This was my first year up there. And I set the engine straight ahead, and I got up on the bow and held onto the rope, and I steered the boat with my weight.
Right.
That was the stupidest thing because I didn't have a life jacket, and if I went overboard, the boat would have taken off, and the water would have killed me because of the temperature.
Yeah, people.
But I never had any problem. That was the stupidest thing.
Somebody was watching you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other outstanding memories of that period?
I think that pretty well covers it.
Okay. All right, moving on. Now we just completed your third year of your work career, more or less. Take us to your fourth year.
Let's see. I graduated in 1959, and I got a $1,000 Wildlife Federation grant to do some advanced study.